Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Business Daily. I'm Lee Ji-yoon in Seoul. Let's get started by looking at today's highlights. Big data. It's a gargantuan amount of information collected by companies for effective marketing and trend analysis. And Korea is relaxing some of its regulations to realize big potential. You can never get enough of that cold, sparkling water, especially during this time of the year, but the bubbly seltzer drinks are in high demand for other reasons as well. Breaking out of a prolonged downward trend, Korea's producer prices have inched up slightly in May for the first time in 10 months. The Bank of Korea says last month's producer price index climbed 0.1% on month to 101.87 on the back of rising global oil prices. This is still 3.5% lower than the same period last year. The central bank says in May, the price of coal and petroleum products edged up 6%. While agriculture goods, especially cabbage, watermelon, and pork, all rose by large margins. The producer price index measures the average price change from the seller's point of view and is typically reflected in consumer prices in 1 or 2 months. A breath of hope has been injected into Korea's struggling export firms with the new free trade agreement in the works, and this time with Central American nations. Seoul's Trade Ministry announced that it kickstarted negotiations with 6 countries from the region in the U.S. city of Houston on Thursday, including El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. While bilateral trade between Seoul and the 6 countries is not large, it reached $5 billion last year. KOTRA expects the deal, if signed, could serve as a linchpin for future growth, particularly for Korea's small and medium-sized firms. Automated teller machines, or ATMs, while they make simple money transactions a lot easier, they can also be used for scams. Now, the methods are getting more sophisticated, with many cases threatening to break the bank. So, financial authorities are stepping up measures to fight these scams. Our Lee Ji-yeon is on the story for us this morning.
Just as easy as it is to find an ATM on the streets of Korea to pull out money, it's also easy to get scammed through these machines. The scams come in many different forms, ranging from the use of ATM card readers that copy bank card numbers to criminals who simply withdraw money using stolen private information. Facing a swelling number of ATM crimes, the country's financial authorities have stepped up efforts to fight against such cases. Latest on the list is a so-called location-based ATM fraud prevention method. It employs mobile phone towers to pinpoint where the card owner is and compares it with the location of the ATM the card was used at.
When someone loses their card or reports a counterfeit or theft, the card company can immediately compare the locations. If they don't match, we'll alert the card owner within 30 seconds to prevent further damage.
Another method is to use facial recognition. New software can pick out those hiding their faces behind masks, hats, or sunglasses and restrict them from accessing ATMs. And with voice phishing also high on the list of ATM frauds, a new measure will create a greater window of waiting for those looking to withdraw large sums of money. For anyone who has taken out more than $2,600 from an ATM, they'll have to wait 30 minutes to make an additional withdrawal.
30 minutes is the window of opportunity, since it gives authorities a chance to find the criminal and also for customers to recognize they have fallen victim to such scams.
It's not only that. Starting this month, people are no longer able to use bank cards with only magnetic stripes and instead need to get ones with integrated circuit chips as well. Authorities say this offers a higher level of security for users. As criminals find more creative ways to retrieve personal information and dupe ATM users, it's likely the methods to tackle such crimes will only become more varied as well. Lee Ji-yeon, Business Daily.
Up until now, not many people drank sparkling water because, for one, it's more expensive than plain water and it wasn't easy to find at your local supermarket. But now people just can't seem to get enough of this fizzy drink, with many finding new ways to use carbonated water. Our Lee Ji-young tells us more.
Washing your face with a splash of water is routine for anyone, but look closer and you'll notice bubbles in the water. The creative use of carbonated water doesn't stop here. Some even use it to make rice, claiming it tastes better. Once consumed just to quench thirst, sparkling water is getting a wide range of makeovers. Popular cosmetic brands in Korea have been releasing beauty products that include carbonated water, saying the cooling sensation when applied has been attracting more consumers.
When I tell the customers this toner includes carbonated water, they find it really amazing.
The popularity of carbonated water is also reflected in the skyrocketing sales at mega supermarkets. One retailer, Home Plus, says in the first 4 months of this year, sales have increased 170% compared to a year before. Other big box stores in the same time period also saw sales surge by over 90% on year. Market researcher AC Nielsen projects the size of Korea's carbonated water market will double to $70 million this year. Experts say such high demand is partly due to greater exposure Korean consumers get to sparkling water when they go abroad. The water is also loved for a number of benefits it's thought to come with. Commonly advertised as being rich in minerals, many believe it also helps with digestion and skincare.
There's no shortage in reasons why people love sparkling water, but scientists say most of the perceived effects are actually unproven. Even so, market watchers project demand is unlikely to fizzle for now. Lee Ju-young, Business Daily.
Big data. They're colossal data sets curated to provide objective insights on a scale never seen before. And our Eunice Kim is here to tell us about how Korea is embracing the possibilities that lie behind this new tool. Hello, Eunice.
Good morning, Jude. Yeah, data storage has come a long way since the days of floppy disks and CDs. I think you would agree.
Yes.
And governments and companies around the world try to figure out how to apply big data into their daily operations. We take you to one Korean company learning to do just that.
A big data center of a major credit card company. Information from web portals, online searches, and social media activity pile up and are sorted here. Some 800,000 pieces of information are said to be collected every day. Who's buying what, when, and where is reflected in these keywords, allowing for the evaluation of spending habits of Koreans in real time. Connect to this data set details of customers' credit card transactions, and companies get a massive marketing reference to go by.
Women in their 30s spend the most on their pets.
And customers are offered promotion packages customized to their needs and desires.
You can gauge customers' opinions, sensibilities, qualities, and what kind of products they spend on, all data we can harvest from social media.
Also emerging are credit ratings based on big data.
By analyzing social media, financial entities can discover potential clients who weren't able to receive support.
This new type of credit evaluation is set to be launched at commercial banks starting next month. The financial sector as a whole is looking to big data as a potential growth engine, as government authorities are also showing their resolve to nurture the industry, just as it is being propped up in countries like the US and Japan.
We plan on revising the Credit Information Act to allow big data usage as long as the information doesn't identify individuals.
Meanwhile, voices of concern are also growing, warning the overwhelming focus on personal information could also give birth to side effects on a scale yet unimagined.
All right, so specifically, how is the government preparing for the possibilities behind this big data?
So earlier this month, the Financial Services Commission, which is of course Korea's top financial regulator, did make a significant announcement saying that it was ready to declassify certain personal credit information as open, thereby enabling financial firms to use them without the prior consent of the consumers that it is attached to. Now we're talking about credit card transactions, online search histories, and even travel histories perhaps collected by GPS systems, for example. All data that companies can use, for example, to target their customers in a better way using marketing, of course, and also to unearth new customers as well.
But then it all sounds good, but it's still going to have a number of strict regulations.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the caveats, in fact, is that the financial companies will be required to protect and guarantee certain customer privacies. We're talking customer income, payments, credit scores. These still remain very much confidential, and the FSC has said that it will only begin to roll out the easing of some of these rules once the financial firms are able to prove that it can manage the information correctly, and this is expected to begin sometime in September or even earlier.
All right, well, but then I understand this is part of the regulator's plan to grow Korea's financial technology, or we know it as fintech industry.
Right, very much in line with the chairman of the FSC, Im Jong-young. He has stated in the past that one of his priorities during his term is to enable fintech here in Korea, which is still quite behind compared to its counterparts around the world. And it also would be, of course, fintech companies that is a beneficiary of these revisions along with its brick and mortar counterparts.
All right, and you also mentioned at the end of your report about growing concerns about this big data. What kind of concerns are we talking about here?
Well, of course, there's the existing privacy concerns and also the personal information breaches we've seen in recent years. But perhaps the biggest ambiguity of all is that nobody really knows where big data, or more specifically big analysis, is going and what the impact of that will be. So, for example, with the efficiencies, the enhanced efficiencies, it could lead to perks, of course, for some customers, but for others who perhaps big data has predicted to be not so profitable, they could have less offers coming to them. And that is just one example.
All right, yeah, privacy concerns are always one of the major concerns. All right, thank you so much for that report, Eunice.
My pleasure.
And that wraps it up for today's edition of Business Daily. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the week for your check on day's top business stories. We'll be back next week, so don't forget to tune in then. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.